Okay, students, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. So, I think we are discussing this chapter atomic structure, right? So, we have finished, sir has finished this chapter atomic structure. Fine. Students will do some sums today. Okay. So, we'll start doing some sums. First, I'll give you sums on de Broglie. Now, for example, let me give you a sum here. Calculate, right, the wavelength. Okay. Suppose I ask you calculate the wavelength of a cricket ball. Okay. The mass I'll give you. Suppose the mass is like, maybe like 60 kg, right? 60 kg mass, right? And it travels with a velocity of maybe like 2 meter per second. Because, a very fast bowler is bowling, right? Like cricket, fast bowler, right? V is 2 meter per second. So, how we do this question now? The formula is lambda is equal to, so in this session, students will solve mainly questions. Lambda is equal to h by mv. Okay. So, we can calculate the wavelength using this. What is the value of h? 6.625, right, into, very good, 10 to the power minus 34. The mass we have given you 60 kg, right? Velocity is also 2. So students, if you substitute, you'll get the answer. And this wavelength will be in meters. Fine? So you will get the answer in meters. Now if you see this wavelength, so it will be very, very less. Nothing, like 10 to the power minus 34, right? It will be, you can say, approximately equal to 0. Okay? Fine? Yes, so if you see this wavelength, right, be very close to 0. So what we can say is that this cricket ball doesn't have wave properties. No, it's a particle, right? Okay. Because very less, you'll get very less. Anyway, you can do the calculation of this, right? Fine. Now let me give you one more question, student, right? Suppose, they give you kinetic energy. Then how to calculate lambda? Equation remains the same. Lambda is equal to what? H by mv. Okay. But kinetic energy is equal to what? Half mv square. So now what you should do is get the velocity here in terms of kinetic energy. So we can say 2 times kinetic energy, right, is equal to mv square. You take 2 on that side, right? Okay. So what is divided by m is equal to v square, right? So what is v? V is equal to root of 2 times kinetic energy by m, right? Fine. Yes. Root of 2. Now this value you substitute here. So what will you get lambda? Lambda is equal to h by m. Okay. Now just substitute this value here. Root of 2 kinetic energy by m. Okay. So the final answer that you will get is lambda is equal to h by. Now if you take out this 2 into kinetic energy, right? Yes. Okay. So if you take out the root m, like you will get h by root of 2 kinetic energy. This will be the formula for lambda in terms of kinetic energy. Okay. Sometimes in an exam they'll give you kinetic energy, so you have to find out this. Okay. One more interesting thing we have got here. Um, Suppose I take an electron. Okay. I apply a voltage V. You apply voltage V. Then what is the wavelength? The second part, right? Third part is you apply voltage, right? Okay. then in that case, the kinetic energy is equal to, okay. Now students, instead of taking electron, you can take some general charge also, like you can take Q also. You can take electron or you can take Q. Then in that case, kinetic energy will be equal to Q into V. Fine. Q into charge into voltage. So what you have to do is just substitute this kinetic energy here and you will get the answer. So what is the lambda is equal to, tell me, H by root of 2 into Q into V into M. So this will be the formula you will get. Just substitute that kinetic energy expression there. QVM, right? Okay. This will be the value for them. So students, note down all these formulas. These formulas are very helpful. This formula, lambda is equal to H by root. You just note down this formula also, right? Okay. So please note it down. Very important. So we'll do some, we'll do some sums based on this. Root of 2Q. What is V here? Again, I repeat, V stands for voltage. What voltage you are applying, right? And M is the mass. Okay. Fine. So students, we'll do some sums here now. Let's do some sums. So what is the formula? Lambda is equal to H by root of 2QVM. Okay. Root of 2QVM. Q is the charge, V is the voltage, M is the mass. Suppose I give you a sum like this, just see. Calculate the de Broglie wavelength. In exam, they'll ask you de Broglie wavelength, right? De Broglie wavelength of an electron, okay, of an electron which has been applied a voltage of. So you are applying a voltage. Like suppose, for example, you are applying 1000 volts, right? Okay, huge voltage, right? So now what will be the answer? Lambda is equal to, you write the formula, right? H by root of 2QVM. Now what H value you substitute? 6.625, right? Into 10 to the power minus 34, right? Divided by root of 2 into Q. Okay. Now what is Q? Charge. Charge, like. So what is the charge? 1.6. Okay. Charge of the electron, right? The charge of the electron is how much? 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, right? Voltage. You are applying 1000 volts, right? And what is the mass of the electron? So mass of the electron is equal to 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kilogram. So you can write here 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31. Fine. So you must know the mass also, right? So in this case, you will get lambda. Okay. You will get the students. If you do the calculation now, you will get the answer in meters. Meters. But you have to convert this to Armstrong. Now 1 Armstrong is how much? 10 to the power minus 10 meters, right? Okay. So if you want to convert meter to Armstrong, you suppose x is the answer, right? What do you do now? You multiply this by x into 10 to the power 10. You will get in Armstrong, right? Because 1 meter will be 10 to the power 10 Armstrong. You will get a big number, right? Yeah. You will get around 2 or 3 Armstrong. You will get, students. You just check it out, like just do the calculation, right? Fine. So this is how you can calculate the de Broglie wavelength of an electron, right? You are applying some voltage, right? Okay. And students, I'll tell you one very interesting thing here. This is how electron microscope works. Okay. In an electron microscope, what they do is they will have a beam of electrons. They'll apply some voltage, right? Okay. Electrons, right? Suppose it's a surface. Suppose this is the surface. You want to see this surface, right? You want to see the minute details of the surface. What you do is you have a beam of electrons. Okay. Very high voltage has been applied. Fine. So this beam of electrons, will strike this surface. It will go deep inside. So when it strikes the surface, you can see, what is there inside the surface. Okay. Suppose, for example, you can take cell. You can see what is there inside the cell because this beam of electrons, so when they come with a very high energy, because you applied a voltage, right? You applied some 1000 volts, so they'll come with a very high energy, right? They will fall on the cell, right? And you can see the internal structure of the cell. You can see what is there inside. Okay, DNA, RNA, and you can even see what is there inside the DNA also. So powerful. This electron microscope is very powerful. Okay, what you are basically doing is by applying a voltage, you are giving very high energy to the electrons, energetic electrons, right? They will strike the surface. Okay, you can see even very very small objects. You can see very very, you know. Suppose it's wavelength. Like it will come to around, I think, some 2 angstrom. It will come. Just check it out. So you can see objects of the order of 2 angstrom. Just check out this answer, right? You see very small objects, right? Okay. And that's how when they have seen this coronavirus. This coronavirus, you can't see with your normal eyes. Neither you can see with microscope and all these things, small, microscopes you can't see, but you can see with the electron microscope. You can see the virus because the virus is very small, of the order of 2 angstrom. You get his answer, right? Okay, fine. So this is how you do this question. Fine. Now let us do some questions on Heisenberg's principle. The theory students you have done. So I'm not doing the theory. What is Heisenberg's principle? Tell me. Delta x into delta p, right? Greater than or equal to h by 4 pi. This is a formula. Delta x into delta p, right? Okay. Greater than or equal to h by 4 pi. H is Planck's constant. Okay. What is delta x? The uncertainty in position. Okay. So you are uncertain about the position, right? Some mistake you will do in position. What is delta p? Uncertainty in momentum. So if you multiply these two uncertainties, right, you will get h by 4 pi. Okay, fine. Let's take some questions. Before I take up those questions, what is the meaning of uncertainty in position? See, suppose your electron is actually at a distance of 5 centimeter, but you are measuring as 5.1. Actually, 5 centimeter electron distance, but you are measuring how much? 5.1. The students, how many mistake you have done? The mistake what you have done is 0.1, right? That is what is uncertainty. So uncertainty means how much mistake you have done. So you are not certain about that 0.1, right? Clear? You are measuring it as 5.1. Fine. So that is what is uncertainty. Fine. So I'll give you some questions here. Now let me give you a question here. See. Let me start the question here. Suppose I say, before I give that question, I can change the expression slightly. Just see now. Delta x into what is momentum? Momentum is mass into velocity. You can write this p as what? Yes, mass into velocity, right? Okay, equal to h by 4 pi. We'll take equal to. We'll not use that greater than sign. We'll take equal to. Now I can take the mass outside. So in that case, what will be the answer? M delta V, right, is equal to H by 4 pi. So you can write the same expression like this, delta x into delta V, right, is equal to, suppose I am using only the equal to sign, right. So I can write delta x into delta V, right, is equal to H by 4 pi M. This M will come down soon, right. Okay. Delta x into delta V, H by 4 pi M. Fine. We'll do some questions on this. Let's do some questions. Suppose I tell you, okay, an object is traveling with a velocity of right, delta V, velocity of 100 meter per second, right, with an uncertainty of, students read this question very carefully, with an uncertainty of 0.01%. So what is the uncertainty in velocity? Velocity 0.01%. Okay. The mass of the object I'll give you. Suppose the mass of the object is, suppose I say, like, see, it's moving such a high speed, right? 100 meter per second. Let us take the mass of the object as 1 gram. Very small object, right? Clear? The question is, calculate delta x. What is delta x when? Uncertainty in position. So how will you calculate this now? Just see. Okay. Calculate the uncertainty in the position. Fine. So whenever you do question, first you write the formula. So what is the formula? Delta x into delta v, right, is equal to h by 4 pi m. We'll use the equal to sign. Okay. So now you want to calculate this question mark now. Delta x you have to calculate. Delta v you know. Now students be very careful now. Just see here. What is delta v? Delta v is equal to uncertainty of 0.01%. Okay. 0.01% of 100. See, this is how you do it. 0.01% of 100. Is that clear? Of the velocity. So that means what is the uncertainty in velocity? 0.01. So that means you are not certain by 0.01. Okay. So are you getting this? 0.01% of 100. So you got delta. Now you substitute in this, very easy now, right? So what is delta x? Delta x will be equal to h by 4 pi m delta v. Okay. So you will get the answer as 6.6. H value you substitute, right? 6.625 into 10 to the power minus 34, right? Divided by 4 into, what is pi value? 3.412. Mass value is how? Mass is given to be how much? 1 gram. Now students, very important, be careful with the units actually. Remember, 1 gram you have to change it to kilogram. Okay. Because we are using SI units, right? So 1 gram. So 1 gram in kilogram will be how much? 1 by 1000. Okay. 1 by 1000 into delta V. Delta V just now we calculate 0.01. Okay. Is that clear? Whenever you're using MKS means what system? Kilogram, meter. So if you are using meter, you have to use kilogram, right? and second, right? So you have to convert this to kilograms, fine. So just substitute these values, right? You will get an answer. You will get very less answers, students. Very, very less. If you see 10 to the power minus 34 will dominate, right? So again, it's almost equal to 0. Okay. So this is how you do this question. The main thing is what is the meaning of 0.01%, that you should get it. Fine. Okay, sir. So this is a question based on Heisenberg's principle, right? Fine. Okay, sir. Fine. You must also do questions on photoelectric effects. That's also very important. What is photoelectric effect? We have done this. Remember, that light falls, right? Light falls on the surface. Okay, electrons come out. So electrons are ejected, right? Okay, light consists of photons. So these photons will give the energy to the electrons. Electrons are there inside. Photon will give energy to the electron. Electron will come out. Okay, but it depends on how much energy you are giving to the electron. Okay, so there are some terms are there. There is a term called work function. Okay, this work function is defined as the minimum energy required for the electron to come out. Okay, minimum energy required. Now, for example, suppose I say work function is like 2 electron volt. The unit of energy is electron volts. So if I say 2 electron volt, that means the minimum energy required, right, for an electron to come out is 2 electron volt. If you give more than 2 also, it will come out, not an issue. Clear? But you should give minimum 2. If you give less than 2, like for example, if you give 1, then electron will not come out. So you have to give that minimum energy, right? Now, students, I want to ask you one question. Then, of course, like suppose, you know, uh, you have got surface electrons, right? See, a lot of electrons are there here. Okay, and the electrons are there in the bulk also. This is a surface, right? Okay, they are there in the bulk also. Now, interestingly, see, I can't ask you a question because we are not directly interacting. But which electrons will come out easily? Surface electrons. Surface electrons, they don't require that much energy, right? Whereas the electrons which are there in the bulk, they require more energy. Fine. Surface electrons, if they are coming out with 2 electron volt, the bulk electrons will require more than that. The bulk electrons, will require 3 electron volt, right? That's why I'm telling minimum energy. I hope you understood the word minimum energy. That minimum energy means what I'm telling for the surface electrons. So if you give 2, electron will come out, surface. Bulk will take more time. Okay, that is called work function. And there is a symbol for this, right? W naught. Okay, you can write this, students, you can write this W naught in terms of frequency. You can write as H mu naught because you know that E is equal to H mu, right? So, same thing, energy, right? This is called threshold frequency. Okay. So, in exam, they'll give you W naught. See, what are the sums which might come in this? They'll give you W naught. Okay. They'll ask you to calculate mu naught. Or you can write W naught as also as H. What is mu naught? We have done sums on this earlier also. Mu naught you can write as C by lambda naught, where lambda naught is called threshold wavelength. Okay, threshold wavelength. Now here also same logic, they'll give you all these things, they'll ask you to calculate lambda naught. So the sums will come like this, they'll ask you to calculate mu naught or lambda naught, right? Or they will ask you to, find out whether electrons will come out or not. Okay. Electrons will come out, again I repeat, only when the supplied energy, I'll write here, the supplied energy, right, is greater than, yes, very, very important. When you are supplying more energy than W naught, greater than or equal to, you can say greater than or equal to. Fine. Fine, student. So you will get sums of this also. And then, very important, suppose you are supplying 3 electron volt, but for coming out, you require only 2. This is your W naught. You are supplying this much. This is your supplied energy, right? So now, student, tell me what will happen to the remaining energy. Okay, 3 you are supplying, 2 is required to come out. So the remaining 1 will be imparted as kinetic energy. So whatever left, that will come out as kinetic energy, right? So they can ask you question on kinetic energy also, right? Okay. They'll give you the supplied energy, they'll give you the W naught value, right? Okay, fine. So this is about photoelectric effect, right? We'll do some on this later. Then students, the most important thing what you should be knowing in this, the most very, very important is you should be able to write the electronic configuration. This is something like which I was telling you in the video class, in the Zoom class also, right? This is a part which is very, very important. Okay, I'll quickly revise it. Like so that it will be very clear for you. There are 4 quantum numbers. What are the 4 quantum numbers? Tell me. N, L, Ml, and Ms. N can take the values 1, 2, 3, etc. Right? L can take the values from where? 0 to n minus 1. Very, very important. 0 to n minus 1. Ml can take the values from minus L to plus L. Ms can take only 2 values, plus half and minus half. I'm just quickly revising it. So there are restrictions everywhere, you see. Everywhere you have got restrictions. Fine. N 1, 2, 3, L 0 to n minus 1. So suppose n is 2, then you can get only 2 values, 0, 1. Okay. Correct. Ml can go from minus L to plus L. And what is the importance of all these quantum numbers? See, n will give you the energy. We have discussed the Zoom class also, right? L will give you the shape of the orbital. Now, what is the meaning of shape? L is equal to 0 means which orbital? Tell me. Yes, S will look like this. Correct? L is equal to 1 means p orbital, right? P orbital will look like this. L is equal to 2, d orbital. D orbital will look something like this. Okay? Correct? 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Fine, okay, we'll continue now. We'll continue, right? L is equal to 0 means S spherical. 1 means P, D means double, right? 3 means F orbital. Okay? Now F orbital, the shape is very difficult. We'll not draw it. Let's not go into that. Okay? So very, very important. L will give you the shape of the orbital. Please remember, very, very important. 0 na S orbital, 0 na S, 1 na P, right? Will give you the shape. That is the meaning of L. Are you getting it? L is called azimuthal quantum number. Okay? Azimuthal, right? Shape of the orbital. Fine. What does ML give you? I'll use the next slide here. What does ML give you? ML gives you the orientation. orientation of the orbital, right? Now, for example, let's take an example now. Suppose I take L is equal to 0. L is equal to 0, right? Which orbital it is? S. Okay? S will have only one orientation. You see, it will be a sphere. There's no other orientation possible. No, only one will be there, right? So ML value will be what? 0. Clear? Suppose I've got L is equal to 1 student, right? Then you will have P orbital. Okay? P orbital, right? Now P orbital can have 3. Just now I told you minus L to plus L. See, ML can take the values from minus L to. So what is L? 1. So minus 1, 0, plus 1. 3 values, right? Minus 1, 3 orientations. You can draw those orientations now. How will you draw it? Let me draw it here. This is your Px, right? This is Px, fine. Along the x-axis, right? This is Py. This is your y, right? This is your x-axis, right? Okay. This is Py, and you can draw one more orbital. Of course, it's difficult to draw it in the board, but still you can draw it like this, right? Suppose this is your z-axis, fine. Or this is your x-axis, right? This is your y-axis, fine. So you have got tz also, right? So you will have 3 orientations. Okay. Now, students, very, very important point. You can give any number to any one of them. You can give minus 1 to anybody, you can give 0 to anybody. Although some books, they'll say that minus 1 is nothing like that. You can give any number. Suppose I give minus 1 to this, then I should give 0 plus 1. Any number you can give, not an issue. But of course, don't give the same number. Very, very important. So minus 1, 0, plus 1. Okay. Some books, they'll misguide you in this. So just give any number, but don't. So anything can be minus 1. So 3 orientation. Very important is you're getting 3 orientation. Very clear? Okay. Minus 1, 0, plus 1. Same thing you can do for the d orbital also. Shell is equal to 2. What is orbital in me? D orbital. Now d orbital can have 5. See how 5? Minus 2, minus L to plus L, right? So what are the numbers you'll give? Minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1. Clear? Minus L to plus L. Right? So you can have 5 numbers you can get. So you have got 5 orientations. Okay, 5 orientations. Now let me draw the 5 orientations. See, very interesting. First one will be like this. This is x-axis, right? This is y-axis. This orbital student is called dx square minus y square. The lobes are exactly along the axis. You see, exactly along the y-axis, exactly along the x-axis. This is the first one. Second one will be like this. This is called dxy. So here you see, student, the lobes are in between the x and the y axis. Can you see the difference? Here it is exactly along the, here it is in between, right? Between x and y. Same way you can draw between x and z also. Suppose you take the z axis, right? Suppose z. Okay. Then you can draw like this. So this will be called dxz. Okay. Between x and z, between x and y. xy between x and z, xz. Same way you can draw one more also. Suppose this is dxy, dxz, dyz also you can draw. This is dyz. Students, note down very carefully. dxy means between x and y, between x and z, right? dxz. So you have got 5 orbitals, Four orbitals now, four orbitals. Okay, you can give any number, no problem. Now the fifth orbital is very, very interesting orbital. We'll draw the fifth orbital now. Okay, see, I'll draw the fifth orbital here now. So, and suppose I take this as z-axis, right? Okay, I'm drawing the fifth orbital now. Just see, I'll use a different color. Very interesting. Okay, this orbital is called dz square. Okay, dz square. What is the interesting thing about this? You have along the z-axis, you have got the lobes, z-axis, right? Plus, you have got, electrons surrounding the z-axis also, surrounding that lobe. Can you see that? Surrounding that lobe. That's why it's on dot. Okay? Yes, surrounding that lobe. So you can see electrons shown in the z-axis also. You can see electrons along the xy plane also, surrounding the z-axis. Okay? So you can see electrons everywhere here. That is the speciality of dz square. Electrons everywhere you can see the electrons, x axis, y axis, and everywhere. But here you can see only dx square minus y square, you can see only in x and y. Here also you can see only in x and y. Students getting it? So dz square is the only orbital where electrons can be found everywhere. Okay? So that will be the shape of dz square. So you have got 5 orbitals now, right? You can give any number, no problem. Okay? -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, you can give any number. Okay, son. So d orbital will have 5 orientations. 5. Okay? 5 orientations are there. Clear? Similarly, f orbital will have 7. Now that the f orbital, is very difficult to draw. In 3 dimension, you have to show it in 3 dimensions. You can't show it in 2 dimension, right? Clear? Even this is dz square, students, is also 3 dimensional. Okay? This and all is okay. Fine? So f will be difficult to show, right? But f will have 7 orientations. 7. Okay? Okay, students, I think we'll stop here. So next time, I'll tell you to fill electrons and all that. Like we'll discuss it next time. We'll discuss good questions also next time, right? Okay. Okay, then bye. We'll see you next time, right?